It looks as though it's been a fresh start for Chelsea. Shaka, K. Murray here. A 2-0 win over Bournemouth. Remember, before the break, things weren't really going well for Graham Potter's men. It had been 3 losses on the bounce. Last time out was that 1-0 loss to Newcastle. But then the breaks come and they looked a lot fresher and better today, Shaka.
They did. Well, results would suggest as much anyway. And I thought Chelsea started really brightly. But then once they got that 2-goal lead, I'm not sure that they did a whole lot else to really excite Chelsea fans, if I were to be honest. But to a point, K, before the break for the World Cup, 3 losses on the bounce. You wanted to see how Graham Potter's men would react. Of course, half the squad away to the World Cup, half the squad staying here. Reece James, it was good to see him back in the starting lineup and was playing so well. But then he had to come off injured and looked really despondent when he did go down and making that realization. So your heart goes out for him. And as much as it was, as I mentioned, a really good start, 2 very well taken goals, the game just kind of petered out. So I guess you're happy for the 3 points. You're happy that the ship has righted itself in that regard. But maybe if you were asking for more in terms of a full 90-minute performance that had Bournemouth on the ropes throughout, you didn't really get that.
You mentioned Reece James. We do hope it's not too much of a setback for him because you could see just how much they'd been missing him in that game. I wonder, Shaka, if the fact that it was a little more lackluster after they'd already gone ahead had been due to the fact that he'd gone off, that it had had a negative impact on the team.
Listen, Reece James is one of the best in the world at that position, and missing him, and regardless of whether you're Chelsea football or any football club in world football, missing that kind of player, I think takes a little bit of a toll, or at the very least takes some adjusting. But the difference between Chelsea early on and Chelsea late on in this one should not be down to one player. As good as Reece James may be, it shouldn't be down to just one player. If we're having that discussion about Chelsea v Liverpool, I guess it's more relevant. But we're talking Bournemouth here. In their first game after Gary O'Neill appointed as full-time manager at home at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, Reece James or not, should be winning this and winning this comfortably from opening whistle to final whistle. But it was not that. And while, as I say, Reece James is a miss, I don't think it excuses the 2 different sides to Chelsea that we saw today.
Let's talk about the 2 goals then. Kai Havertz with the opener. It was a great assist from Raheem Sterling too, Shaka.
It really was. And came at a time where, I keep saying Chelsea started so brightly. Christian Pulisic could have had a penalty. I thought it was lazy defending, the holding of the shirt. You can make what you like. Was it enough? Did it warrant Pulisic going over as he did? But you grab a hold of the shirt of a player in full stride in the box, you're asking for trouble. Bournemouth somehow survived that call, just about. And I say that because of that penalty we're given. I don't think too many people would really complain either. But then to respond as quickly as they did, it kind of made that incident less important. But yeah, a very well-worked goal. Raheem Sterling, who had been come under for some criticism himself, the provider to Havertz, who is still filling in as the striker role, and Chelsea do need a striker, but took that really well. Took that as you'd expect from an out-and-out number 9, and got them going. And then the second goal from Mason Mount, again, very well worked. I thought the chance had all but gone, and then ball recycled back out to Mason Mount, and a really good finish. If I'm Bournemouth, I'm asking questions of my defenders and why you turn your. I can't remember exactly which one it was, or 2 to that point, who turned their back and could have done a whole lot better. But take nothing away from Mason Mount, take nothing away from Chelsea, in all honesty, because they were deserving of that lead on the back of that very good finish from Mount.
You mentioned the need for a striker. Is that exactly where they do need to be looking in January? Because that has been a problem for them, hasn't it, scoring goals? And if they can get that striker, how much of a better team will they be, and how much of a challenger will they be for the top 4?
I think all teams are better with that focus, that focal point of a number 9, of a striker, somebody to build off of, somebody to build around. And I know world football. So we say I've had these discussions for a few years now, ever since Pep Guardiola went with the force number 9, and then over the last couple of seasons, again reverting to that. This is pre-Haaland, of course, post-Aguero, pre-Haaland, where you just have 3 very mobile midfielders, in all honesty, providing the firepower and the problems for opposing defenses. But I still think teams fare better with that out-and-out striker, with that focus, as you see with City and Erling Haaland right now. And ever since Chelsea decided to ship off Lukaku back to Serie A, and hadn't really replaced him, it was always going to be a big ask. And while because of their quality they've done okay, I don't think Chelsea have been anywhere near as good as anyone, Todd Bowley included, would have expected or hoped.
Well, let's just end there then. You mentioned Todd Bowley, and obviously we still have to find out what type of an owner he is when it comes to the hiring and the firing. We obviously saw Graham Potter come in under him, but are you of the thinking, like many are, that Graham Potter does need time to get this team clicking?
I do. I think Graham Potter needs time. And Bowley came in, and again, given that we weren't sure what to expect of him, Thomas Tuchel didn't survive very long. Quick downturn, a quick change. I thought Chelsea's overall transfer strategy in the summer was hit or miss, a little bit scattergun, but then given everything around Chelsea Football Club, their ownership, Abramovich, Bowley coming in, you almost want to offer an excuse in that things were just so kind of up in the air that they didn't really have a firm strategy. So we give them that excuse of the summer. The decision around Tuchel, I thought, was premature, but it was theirs to make. But no, I think Chelsea will be better served by standing by a manager and in a longer term than we'd seen certainly under Abramovich. Potter earned his reputation and earned the opportunity at Chelsea. And now, unless you just plan to be Abramovich part 2, I think stand by him. Given what we saw of the transfer window, again, Potter wasn't involved for the summer transfer window, but you've got to give him a few and support him in trying to get Chelsea back to where I'm sure Chelsea fans and the ownership want to see them be. We'll see what that looks like in January. There's a lot of speculation about a lot of movement. And if I were to be honest, not a lot involving Chelsea Football Club in this January. So let's see where they go, because they have needs probably greater than most. So we'll see how Bowley approaches it.
We will definitely see. In January brings Man City back-to-back in both the Premier League and the FA Cup. So there is an interesting month ahead for Graham Potter and Chelsea.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.